Welcome to Standard Chartered Money Insights, a podcast series by Standard Chartered Bank that brings you market views and insights on the go.
Hello, my name is Audrey Goh. I run the Thematics Strategy and Asset Allocation Division at the Standard Chartered Bank. Welcome to Talking Thematics, a series of conversations where we will discuss about future trends, big ideas, or themes that will shape our investment future today and for years to come. Now, following the release of our latest 360 perspective on the Metaverse, I believe many of you might be interested in knowing more about how Metaverse can transform the way we work and live. So today, I'm very glad to have Mr. Steve Brice, our Chief Investment Officer, joining me to cover topics including how Metaverse can be used in different areas of our life, what are some of the key development areas of Metaverse, as well as any interesting investment opportunities that may arise as a result of that. So to begin, Steve, can you share with our listener what exactly is Metaverse? What is the difference between the internet as we know it now today and the further future version of the internet, which is what some term as Web 3.0 under the Metaverse?
Yeah, thanks, Audrey. So the term metaverse obviously has received a shot in the arms after Facebook renamed itself to Meta late last year. So in reality, there's no one single definition of metaverse, and I think it will evolve over time. But the way I see it is it's a collection of virtual worlds which can overlap with our physical world. Therefore, someone who's in the metaverse will be able to enjoy a much more immersive experience, which also translates in physical environment. So you mentioned the Web 3.0 and the technology that's background. That's obviously a big upgrade on the current internet, and it's still going on as we speak, right? So we're not there yet. But if I try to just put this into context, so if you think about what Web 1.0, that was just purely about sharing information, right? So there's very little interaction between people. Then the current Web 2.0 allows us to read and write and interact on social media, including video content. Now, in Web 3.0, what happens is anybody can create and retain ownership of their digital assets without going through an intermediary such as an internet platform company. Therefore, while Web 2.0 has generally focused on leveraging centralized platforms, Web 3.0 is likely to see a significant shift towards a more decentralized engagement. So obviously, digital assets can be in the form of digital tokens under a shared ledger called blockchain. So blockchain is decentralized, which means that users can freely transfer their digital assets or make payments without being regulated by centralized bodies. So I think it's going to be a really significant change. It's going to take some time to come through, but it's a really significant change in the way we interact with the internet.
So now that all sounds very, very promising. So from what you're saying, anyone can now be a creator to own as well as monetize the stuff that we've created digitally. So other than the ability to create and importantly to own digital assets, what are some of the other ways that Metaverse can be used or have an impact on our daily lives in your view?
There's so many different potential applications. I mean, obviously, a lot of people focus on the NFT aspect, right? But we'll cover that later, I'm sure. But it can be applied to different sectors such as retailing, so people will be able to use the digital headsets to enjoy augmented reality fitting rooms to try on their clothing, just like shopping in real life. So at the moment, we go to online shops, but obviously we can't try it on. In the future, we'll be able to try it on virtually using our avatar, etc. So last year, Gucci released their collection on Roblox, and a leading metaverse gaming platform with avatars showcasing their latest sporting designs, which enables branding opportunities by hugely eliminating geographical constraints, for instance. Another, some would say a little bit more mundane than this, example is to the facilitation of the hybrid working model. So obviously, since the pandemic, we're all getting used to what we think of as a hybrid working model. But the metaverse can lead to a very significant step forward in terms of the environment in which we operate. So it can simulate an office setting in a virtual platform. So every employee gets to have their own work areas or even meeting rooms. So as if they're physically working together in the office. So I think, think about this. Meta has actually just said that people can work from wherever. Obviously, the banks are a little behind. A lot of people asking people to work from the office. But I think we're going to see more and more companies take the meta route and saying, well, you can work together even if you're not physically together.
Well, that's great. And what about gaming then? Because I have seen Metaverse being increasingly integrated into virtual reality games, for example. Now, is the metaverse just about me being able to use an avatar, just changing some fancy costumes and equipment? Are there any sort of significant difference in terms of what we get using the metaverse versus the current gaming experience that we're getting today?
So I think we've been moving in this direction over time. So, I mean, my boys have the PlayStation, right? So you can, when you first started, it was just playing on your own. Now you can interact with other people. But I think what was interesting is, and this is not a investment recommendation, right? But in January, Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, which effectively shook up the whole gaming industry because it's the largest deal in the gaming sector. So the question is now, how quickly can Microsoft integrate all this mobile console cloud business, build and develop blocks for their gaming technologies in the metaverse? So with the virtual reality headset, you can play video games using a first-person perspective, as if you are obviously in the same inside the gaming platform, right, with other people. Another cool thing is that these platforms not only provide video games, but one can launch social activities such as concerts, birthday parties, or even weddings virtually. I mean, that would have been great, when people couldn't meet physically in recent times, right? So Ariana Grande and Travis Scott have performed in Fortnite, a renowned great gaming platform, and even broke the record of having 12.3 million live viewers. Another interesting opportunity is the virtual attendance of live sporting events. So those that know me will know that I'm an avid Liverpool football fan, and I was lucky enough to talk to Liverpool CEO Billy Hogan in January. And I asked him about whether I'd be able to watch a live game with my boys as if we were sitting in the Anfield or the Kop. Now, there's no immediate plans at the moment to do this, and obviously there's lots of constraints, I would imagine, through broadcasters. But naturally, this is a potentially hugely lucrative market if they can get it right.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, imagine all the potential revenue streams, whether it's from advertisements, billboards that sportsmen and artists can stand to make, with Metaverse not just giving them access to a global audience, but really also uniting them all through a common in-person experience. So what is the market potential we are looking at? Also, are there areas of development that you foresee that we need to accelerate the adoption of Metaverse?
Yeah, so maybe give us sort of sense of the opportunity. So the expectations are for Metaverse from a revenue perspective to reach around $800 billion in 2024, so obviously 2 years from now. And obviously the subcategories we talked about, live events and advertisements, are expected to double in market size by then. So you can see, I mean, it's from a relatively small base, but you can see that 800 billion is not small. So we're getting to a significant size. So this is has a big potential. But to realize this, I think there's a lot of things that need to happen. So we need further advancement in both hardware and software supporting the metaverse. So, for example, launching virtual reality and augmented reality headsets and glasses that supports interoperability amongst metaverse platforms, or improvements in platform content and interface architecture are going to be really key, as these will ease and support greater adoption towards virtual ways of living. At the moment, these things are still quite niche and still not as developed as we would like to see for it to become mainstream. Another key area is safety and regulation. So as more activities and transactions take place in the metaverse, regulations and safety features will be needed to safeguard users against hateful, abusive behaviors and obviously fraudulent transactions.
Now, I frequently hear about metaverse and cryptocurrencies being often spoken in parallel of each other. So, how do they relate to each other? I mean, the use of cryptocurrencies has also been a rising trend in recent years. Can you perhaps share with us how crypto can grow together with the rise of metaverse?
Yeah, so for those that have been listening to me for some time know that I'm a little bit of a crypto skeptic. And I think, as I think more and more about the metaverse, I do think that the case for certain cryptocurrencies rises. And we'll talk a bit about the risks about that later. But so cryptocurrencies are obviously digital currencies that you can use within the metaverse. So some well-known digital currencies are obviously Bitcoin or Ether. And they can be used to purchase merchandise and services within the metaverse. Other large companies, actually PayPal and Tesla, have started to accept digital currencies payment as well. So as more people are looking at this metaverse environment, probably the demand for cryptocurrencies for digital transactions is likely to increase. So we're expecting that, or it's expected that the global crypto market will increase in size by around 30% every year through to 2028. Now, obviously, maybe I'll just give a bit of a caveat now. Obviously there will be winners and losers along that, and these are very volatile. But we'll come back to that. But it's the overall market is expected to grow. So non-fungible tokens are also expected to gain huge traction. Obviously, we've seen that. The Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey sold his first ever tweet for 2.9 million. And those who might wonder, NFT is a unique digital item that you can own under blockchain. So in the metaverse, you can purchase all kinds of NFT in the form of digital art pieces, fashion items, or even virtual lands.
Well, indeed, I think one can easily create things, whether it's a tweet, some content, images, or even music, and package them into an NFT, giving one the ownership of a proof of ownership. And even your beloved Liverpool, for example, is putting an NFT for auction in the next 1 week or so. So the last question for you, Steve, since you mentioned quite a number of attractive opportunities within the metaverse, are there any foreseeable risks that you think will come with that?
So I guess for investors, I see several challenges and risks, right? So let's deal with the challenges first. So in reality, there are very few pure plays when it comes to the metaverse from a investing in different company perspective. So it's still very nascent in that regard. So obviously a lot of companies are looking at this space, but it's still a very small part of their revenue base today. So therefore, you're gambling almost on who's going to make the best out of this opportunity. Second, as we mentioned, while the technology will undoubtedly come, we are nowhere near where we need to be in terms of making virtual reality and augmented reality mainstream. And finally, from a sort of challenges perspective, I think there will be significant discrepancies between the winners and losers when it comes to virtual worlds and land, NFTs and cryptocurrencies. So this blanket buy anything approach is likely not to be very profitable. So some, I think, will do extraordinarily well, and some probably will not necessarily cease to exist, but be valued much lower than they are today. And we've seen that with several NFTs that have been released recently. They've gone down significantly in value. So people are a little bit, have to be cognizant of those risks. Cybersecurity issues are also a huge concern. So without proper regulations on data privacy and a secure data center, users' personal data may easily be exposed to third parties or hijacked by hackers. So a growing trend of criminal reports is that NFT trades have been stolen, or NFTs have been stolen. And the protection of digital assets is going to be essential to the development of the metaverse and NFT demand, etc. The legal framework is struggling to keep up with this, obviously, because it's very new. So that will need to be developed as well. So overall, we do expect the rise of the metaverse to be an inevitable trend, despite certain technology constraints or privacy or safety concerns. The metaverse will continually evolve as more people participate and shape these virtual worlds over the longer term. However, from an investor perspective, I think it's not developed enough at this moment to make it a core part of your portfolio just yet.
Great. Thanks so much, Steve, for taking your time and sharing with us your thoughts on Metaverse today. And thank you, listeners, as well. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, please do rate, review, and subscribe whenever you get a podcast. This is Audrey Goh signing off. Stay safe and speak to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Standard Chartered Money Insights, a podcast series by Standard Chartered Bank. For more details on the latest market insights, subscribe to Standard Chartered Money Insights.